This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, we review Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Plus, Spider-Man 4 gets a new director. Early reactions are out for the Joker sequel. We remember the great James Earl Jones and more, all in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Monday, September 9, 2024.
Now listen here, bitches. You say you're looking for a podcast about comic books and TV and movies, but you don't know where to go? Well, stop whining and tune into the Jock and Nerd podcast. These are the only guys you'll ever need. They're jockey, they're nerdy, and they're bitches, like you. So keep it on the Jock and Nerd podcast. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch.
Check. Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up! We talk it, we nerd it. We funny, disturb it. We talk it, we nerd it. We spoiler alert. Oh yeah!
Hey, what's happening, listener? Thanks for pressing play and welcome to the Jock and Nerd podcast, where we give you comic book and superhero, TV, and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd! My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
And he's the nerd.
And, well, we established this last week. Let's see if it still works. Penis juice, penis juice, penis juice.
It's showtime!
The juice is loose. Wonderful. It worked.
Gosh, 553 episodes and someone turning that on for the first time.
You'll be very
No one's turning it on for the first time, Andy.
Yeah.
Come on. You have no new fans.
We've got 45-year-old men starting off a show like that.
You got to get the dick jokes out of the way. If you're a first-time listener, you will learn
Imran's
that.
72. I'm sorry.
I'm 71. Don't misgender me. I mean, misage me. Right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, if you're a first-time listener, why? Welcome. And penis juice. It happens. But we're here to have a good time, talk about a fun Tim Burton movie, discuss some geek news. That's what we do. We've been doing every week for 10 goddamn years. And we're going to continue. Let's hit it.
The Jock and Nerd podcast.
I got some breaking news in our timeline. It'll be late old news by the time you listen to this, listener. But in our timeline, breaking MCU Spider-Man 4 news. Hollywood Reporter reporting Destin Cretton in talks to sign on and direct Spider-Man 4.
Geek boner.
Of course, John Watts did the first three. We knew he wasn't returning. Destin Cretton did a great job with Shang-Chi. He's done that Wonder Man show on Disney Plus. That's in post-production, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen. And they must have really liked that because now they have given him Spider-Man 4. What do you guys think? Good pick?
What about the other guy who was doing all the other Spider-Mans?
John Watts.
John Watts. No, John Watts, he was done after 3.
He was going to do Fantastic Four, and then he said he needed a break from Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's done with it.
Yeah.
He's working on that Skeleton Crew show for Disney, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Destin Cretton was at one time attached to do Avengers Kang Dynasty, and then walked away from that because of production issues and what's not. But it seems like Marvel wanted to give him another big feature. I think they like his work. He certainly delivered with the first Shang-Chi, like that vibe with a Spider-Man movie. I think it works. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's a bad choice. I mean, it's not inspired, but I think it's a safe choice. Put it that way.
I think, Imran, you're spot on in that it's clear Marvel has they like this guy a lot.
Yeah.
They were going to have him after one Shang-Chi movie do an Avengers movie.
It's huge.
That got nixed. They were going to have him do the Kang Dynasty movie. Obviously, that got nixed for a variety of reasons. But they've kept him in their back pocket. And then, besides doing an Avengers film, I think one of the bigger properties with Marvel still is Spider-Man, clearly. And they trust him enough to give him that. So I think they see something in him, and they work well with him. They trust him. So that's all good for him. As far as his directing, I liked Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a perfect movie. I thought the ending was got a little too crazy. But yeah, I mean, he seems to fit what Marvel likes to, usually do. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. John Watts had a pretty good run with Spider-Man for in terms of money making. John Watts' whole vibe was trying to, except No Way Home is its own thing, I feel like, but the first two, he was trying to go for that, John Hughes type vibe. I'm curious, now where Spider-Man is in the MCU, what kind of vibe Daniel Destin Cretton goes for, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it's clear, like I said, it's clear that they really like him, as in Marvel.
I like this pick also because if you think of like Shang-Chi, one of the few bright spots in the last couple of years, mixes comedy and down to earth humor with some solid action. The bus scene is great. It's colorful. It fits the Spider-Man tone. Chris McKenna, Eric Summers will be back to write the story. I think they wrote on all the other stories. And Destin is still doing the Shang-Chi sequel. The Shang-Chi The chequel. I'm surprised they haven't made one yet. I mean, I would like to see Shang-Chi again, but that begs the overall question. What do you do? Tom Holland's returning. Zendaya's returning. We know where the character is at the end of No Way Home. Spoilers. I'm not Spoiler alert. Doctor Strange has erased everybody's memory, so nobody knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Do people also not know Peter Parker at all? Or do they still remember Peter Parker and they just don't know he's Spider-Man? Has that been, do you guys know, has that been made clear?
No.
Okay.
No.
So,
yeah, I think the mental gymnastics there are Peter Parker exists, but obviously no one knows he's Spider-Man.
okay, so there's some wiggle
And anyone
room.
that
Happy Hogan didn't remember Peter at the end of the movie.
Oh, neither did Zendaya when he.
Remember when Happy Hogan saw him at the grave?
So nobody knows Peter.
Well, yeah, but they know. I think it's the thing is if you knew that he was Peter, or if you knew that he was Spider-Man, I guess it's been completely erased. I don't know. I don't know exactly.
So the world knows of Spider-Man. Nobody knows who he is, and even the people that knew Peter don't recognize him.
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
Okay, that's a lot. It's a lot to play with. So what do? There was rumors that there was a little struggle between Tom Rothman of Sony, Kevin Feige of Disney. Tom Rothman wanted to do a bigger multiverse movie, wanted to keep going with the multiverse, make it bigger. Kevin Feige wanted to do a smaller street level movie. I thought I read somewhere that maybe Sony was winning out on this and maybe getting their wish that they would do a bigger multiverse movie. I would love to see Andrew Garfield and or Tobey Maguire somewhere in Secret Wars. That was the first thing I heard. The second rumor I heard, they also said Spider-Man 4 is running, not crawling, full steam ahead. We'll start shooting early next year. Jeff Snyder also, I think, said this, or somebody said this, that the movies in between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars will be set on Battle World.
I saw that, yeah, and I actually do like that.
So, Spider-Man 4 on Battle World, where do you think this should go, Anthony?
Well, it depends when this is being released, but that was something I was going to mention, in that apparently the movies in between Avengers will be Battle World movies, which I actually really like because you can do a lot of different stuff with that. And Battle World's a crazy storyline within Marvel.
Yeah.
I would have preferred, before all this stuff, I would have preferred that they did more of a street level type movie, kind of take a step back. Because when you do know something like No Way Home, it's tough to, you can only raise the bar so high at that point in terms of multiversal craziness. Like going back to that well in the next movie, there's a kind of diminishing returns when you keep going back to that stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's been done.
I don't know what we'll see.
I think that getting everybody back in is going to be too costly.
Yeah.
Like Maguire and, Garfield and everybody else involved, all these big stars that were all in the other movies, they're pretty pricey. So my idea is, yes, they go to Battle World, but they're going to bring along Miles and Gwen.
Oh, so that's still multiverse in a different way. That actually kind of makes sense. It would be a good way to.
That'll be the more. You're basically bringing back 3 white dudes, or 2 white dudes, and so you want to swap out, and increase diversity, right?
And Miles Morales. Now you're essentially then you can be accused you're just doing Across the Spider-Verse or whatever, right? But that we've established Miles Morales, bring him into live action. But I'm also with you, Anthony. After that giant multiverse, it'd be nice to strip it down. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody's going to give him any toys or help or gadgets. He's on his own. He's made his own suit. I kind of want to see that a little bit before he just go off into this other fucking cockamamie.
Well, you know
thing.
for sure if this is a Battle World film, Miles is coming over.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because that's what happens in the Secret Wars storyline in the comics.
Yeah, they meet. Yeah, that may be the move. If you do this between those movies, put it on Battle World. Now you can bring in all of Dan Slott's favorite Spider people into live action. Right, Ruggs? All your favorite.
Oh, yeah. Bring all the Spider people.
If I don't see live action Indian Spider-Man, I am going to riot.
Oh, shit.
I'm writing angry emails. Make him Kumail. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say they already Kumail. You can't do
Make
that.
him Dev Patel. No, you need a young, fresh face. There's dudes out there. Young.
Get the guy from Kill.
That guy would be pretty good. I could see him. Actually, he'd be actually really good. The guy from Kill is like the Indian Peter Parker. Oh, yes.
Oh, Imran, you're just.
He's got a boner.
Yeah, he's got a bone, and he's not even able to judge this guy's acting. He's just saying it.
That's a good point. I know he can stab people really well. That's all I know, based on that movie. But at least I'm happy we got. It's been a while. We got some information. They're moving forward. Unrelated, I've been reading these other reports, and Cambia was talking about this, that possibly Blade and Armour Wars are both going to be canceled, which I could see that happening.
Armour Wars, for sure. I mean, that was supposed to be a movie.
That was announced in 2020. It was the
TV
TV show
movie,
first. Yes.
There's no one that really wants to see. I mean, I like Don Cheadle, but
you
Don
fucked
Cheadle
up his character after Secret Invasion.
Yeah, his character's done. Don is pretty old.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
And
I believe the article said someone asked him, "What about this Armour Wars movie?" And his response was, "What's Armour Wars?" Was his actual response. So, but Blade also, I don't know if this movie's ever getting made. I could see that.
I'm totally turned off on this Blade movie.
Yeah, it's not happening. Just forget.
I feel like it's just doomed. It's like I don't anything that I hear about it is not good.
It wasn't Feige's plan. Remember, Marshall Ali called him, said, "I want to do Blade," and he's like, "Okay, I'll squeeze you in." Like it wasn't part of the original anything.
Make a Blade.
Just make it. But
just make a Blade movie.
Spider-Man 4 is coming. Listener, let us know what you think. You can join this conversation. Join our Facebook group. It's called Jock and Nerd Nation.
Jock and Nerd.
It is a closed, exclusive group just for you. Spoiler threads, geeky things, announcements. You can meet other fans, listeners. It's lots of fun. Okay, let's move over to the DC side of things because Joker Folie Deux. The tickets are on sale. It's coming out October 4th. They just put out a new trailer, a short trailer. There's a new trailer came out a month ago. You've probably seen it in the theaters. The review embargo is lifted. Last week, it debuted at the Venice Film Festival to mixed reviews. Now, here's the problem. It's great that they get to premiere at Venice and show their movie, but they have a month still, and now whatever the reactions are, they have to work with it in their PR for a whole month. So it's a risky move. And in this case, these early reactions are very mixed. Starting with Venice, the reactions varied from movie of the year to a huge disappointment was the reactions from Venice. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, it was like a rotten under 50 score. There's 45 reviews. It's at 60%. Now, the first Joker, 600 reviews, 69% tomato meter is what the first Joker's at. So it's a little bit under, but also it's kind of interesting, these mixed reviews. I was going to share a couple of these, but I wanted to know, Ruggs, especially from you, because the show you missed was when we talked about that new trailer, the second trailer. Where are you with this movie? Do these reactions give you more geek motor, floppy jock? Is this movie necessary? Are you looking forward to this at all?
With the passage of time, I feel like they should never have made a Joker movie. They should have just called it The Man Who Laughs and divorced it completely from Batman. And it would be just like another kind of Scorsese anarchist film.
Sure.
But as it stands, they're doing this Elseworlds. It's kind of unnecessary. It's not tied to the Batman, which is another Elseworlds. You got two separate Elseworlds going on. You got this Harley Quinn character that has pretty much nothing to do with Harley Quinn as we know her at all.
Lee Quinzel is her name in the movie.
Lee Quinzel?
Lee Quinzel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an Elseworld. So I don't really care about the movie that much. I'm going to watch it because I know it'll at least be interesting, right? Even if it's a fucking train wreck, the other Joker movie was at least interesting. In its way, it was like copying Scorsese, and in the way that it was trying to be a Scorsese type movie, and trying to be an artsy fartsy film.
Yeah,
and it was trying to be this. They don't make movies like that really that often for big releases anymore. Like if you watch independent movies, there's all kinds of psychological shit going on.
Yeah.
Like you watch Hereditary, this and that, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of weird ass shit going on. But for the big movies, they don't really do. So I'm interested to see what they do. They have this big platform. They're making kind of like an indie movie about the Joker and doing some weird indie shit with like musical shit thrown in.
Right. So I'm intrigued by the trailer, but the more I see this, the more it starts to smell a little bit of some what's the word?
Masturbation?
Not masturbation, penis juice. Pretension.
Yeah.
It seems a little, is that the right word? What am I trying to say?
Yeah, a little pretentious.
Yes.
A little bit like it's smelling his own farts, his nose bowling himself.
A little bit, but I'm still intrigued what they're going to do with the music and the songs. But these early reviews, Anthony, have you seen any of these headlines or scoped any of this out? Does not make me that excited anymore.
No, I haven't actually looked at any of the reviews or anything, but what I'll say about this, and I think I've been pretty consistent with the Joker thoughts, is the first Joker was kind of a lightning in a bottle thing. You know, no one was really expecting much, and Todd Phillips went and made Taxi Cab with the Joker.
Or Taxi Driver meets King of Comedy.
Yeah, with the Joker. And it ended up working, and it got all these accolades, Best Picture nomination, Best Actor, all that stuff. But if you look at Todd Phillips's track record before the Joker, it's been a lot of, okay comedies to some, like, not great. You had Old School, Road Trip. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Hangover. But then, you had some really bad Hangover sequels. So, this guy's not exactly, I wouldn't say he's a great director. I think he made he copied a great film and put it in the Joker.
Yeah, a little bit.
But now this guy is really going for it and making this Elseworlds Joker that's a musical with Harley Quinn. And being quite honest, as we've gone through this, I don't really have much interest in this at all. I don't think this is going to be good. I think his track record and what he's doing, I don't think he's going to be able to recreate this. And there's not a lot of intrigue because it doesn't really connect to anything. So while I like Joker as a character, I think Joker's at his best when he's interacting with Batman. And this is not what that's going to be. So, I don't have very high hopes. So I'm not surprised that the early reviews are bad. That said, or mixed.
They're mixed.
That said, the first Joker was 60-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was 89% with the fans
Makes
on there.
$1 billion, wins an Oscar. Crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So, the reviews don't really mean much for at least this franchise. So I don't know.
They just have to, these are going to be sitting here for the next month, right? Now they got to try to sell tickets. I think that was a risky move for them to debut at Venice. But now you got to,
Venice. Well, I mean, that's another place too. You're going to put it in an artsy fartsy film festival.
So he's definitely looking for a certain crowd. Usually these crowds love all these movies. So this mixed review is very telling. Some of them saying Lady Gaga is great. Others saying she's underused. A lot of people saying it's dull, not very interesting. And it antagonizes the Joker fans. It antagonizes itself. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing with the first Joker. The first Joker movie was like his first foray. You can give him a lot of room to breathe because you're like, okay, he's gonna eventually become the Joker, like that we know. Like
Right.
this is the beginning.
Right.
Like he's gonna eventually the next movie he'll be the Joker that we all know and love, or he'll be more like the Joker. So if there's not going in that direction, I think people will be disappointed. So I think that's what's happening. People are expecting like it to progress to a different level of Joker.
And I feel like it's not. I feel like it's going to be another like character study about these two crazy psychos in love. And really, like, that's it. Like, is he going to rip off La La Land? This movie is also 2 hours and 18 minutes. It's longer than the first movie. I mean, you have the Gaga in there. But what are you ripping off this time? What musical? Jesus Christ Superstar?
Well,
what are you ripping off?
From what I know, it's not a musical per se, but it's like, you know how he has those visions?
Yeah.
And you don't know what's real. It's
There's-
like they take musical form.
There's scenes set to songs, sure.
Yeah, so he has these delusions that are
I guess
musical
there's
delusions.
a trial, and I mean the trailer is kind of colorful, and people are like, "There's no color, there's no." I don't know. It's very interesting. Again, it's kind of got me intrigued. So we will find out in a month what this thing does. Last thing to wrap up the news, some sad news, but we have to pay our respects to the late, great, legendary icon James Earl Jones. Passes away today, 93 years old. Fucking goat this guy is. I don't have to tell you that he's Darth Vader, that he's Mufasa, that the man, I learned a couple of things. He had a stutter when he was younger, overcame a stutter to become an actor. He has an EGOT. He's won the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar.
And if you look at him from behind, he's got an EGOT.
EGOT. What award is that? That's good. I like that.
Oh, shit.
That's what the kids are saying. Oh, he got an EGOT? Oh, skibbity. But a long,
Cat.
rich career, starting with like Dr. Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick, Roots. What do you remember about the James Earl Jones? Anybody? Anthony?
Well, he was the coach in Best of the Best
Yeah.
for Taekwondo
Yeah.
team in America.
Yeah.
There's that too. Yeah, I mean James Earl Jones is within the movie industry a living legend. You know, with acting roles, voiceover roles. 93. You know, lived a long life. That
Yeah.
you know, if I get to 93, someone pull me out earlier, please.
You're still
no, I'm
doing
just
like
kidding.
stage plays and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just all time actor. It's when I saw it this afternoon, I was a little part of me was like, damn, that sucks. You know what? You know,
But-
all your childhood
Yeah,
heroes
he
are
gave us a lot.
People, they all go, and he gave more than his fair share to the industry. So
Absolutely.
The man-
cheers to him.
Yeah.
The man was Thulsa Doom. He was toe to toe with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Conan the Barbarian movie.
Oh, yeah. He was the bad guy.
He
in
was.
Color.
Like he
Yeah.
shared the screen with
Yeah.
the great Arnold Schwartz, and he held his own. He fucking had the best lines in that. He was like a force of nature in that film because he had to project himself as this like transcendent leader that he was just like, oh, like you're big and strong because I made you that way. I enslaved you and made you push a wheel, and now you're strong and you have revenge in your heart. And look at you, look at all the stuff you've done. And like that's fucking
he made Conan.
He made Conan.
Yeah.
So he's had he's Darth Vader. Come on, like
Dude, iconic voice. No one's.
He's never really like led the movies, but he's always been a
Yeah,
part of.
yeah.
and he was Eddie's dad in Coming to America.
Coming
He
to
was-
America, Hunt for Red October, Field of Dreams. No one else
lot.
has ever voiced Darth Vader or Mufasa. So it just an iconic commanding
He's also
voice.
does a voiceover in Judge Dredd.
Oh, he does a Judge Dredd voiceover. I believe also Lucasfilm may have the rights to his voice likeness, and they'll probably just AI him as Darth Vader and as long as everyone's alive. Because you can't have anybody else voice Darth Vader. No one's ever. It has to be James Earl Jones, and
Yeah.
they can do it now. And I think they were starting to play with that a little bit in the last few Darth Vader things he did to make him sound a little younger.
Besides
Right.
Star Wars, what's your favorite James Earl Jones movie,
Oh man,
voiceover or acting?
I'm gonna say Thulsa Doom.
There you
Conan.
go. Conan.
he was in The Simpsons. Oh, he was on Homicide: Life on the Street. That's a great show.
Way to make a pick there.
I don't know. There's so many. Like you said, he just plays like a little side.
Okay, I'll answer while you
Let me look.
hem and haw.
Yeah.
I will go with I really like him as in Coming to America as the
He's great.
stuck up king.
Yeah. It's Eddie Murphy's father.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great in that.
Him being Mufasa.
That's
huge.
It's amazing. It's just that voice that it's your childhood. Coming to America probably would be one of my favorites too. It's very. He was in the sequel too, which was not that good.
I also liked in what was fun about Coming to America is that he's a light skinned black man and his son is Eddie Murphy, who's like one of the darker skinned black men. I'm like, that's just not possible.
Do you know that he was in Dr. Strangelove?
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick as one of his early roles. He started in soap operas in like 1952. Does Strangelove in 64. And then he's in Roots. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good role. He plays Jack Johnson, the boxer, Great White Hope. Jack Jefferson Johnson. I forget.
Jack Johnson.
It's Jack Johnson. Yeah, that's a big role. But he played Malcolm X in this movie called The Greatest. Get the fuck out of here. James Earl Jones will always we're always going to have his voice around. You're always going to have Darth Vader. Will not be forgotten.
He's become immortal.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Okay, let's take a break here. I'm going to play some promos, and we're going to go back to the afterlife, find out what those fuckers have been up to in the last 36 years. Beetlejuice, right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Transmission commencing.
This is Wookiee Radio. Translated for the Wookiee impaired. I like that Wookiee. Your hosts, Ken, Derek, and Mike, bring you the latest news and commentary from the far reaches of the galaxy.
Hold it. I said hold it.
Subscribe today on iTunes and Stitcher.
I just assumed he's a Wookiee.
Start listening today, and remember,
The Force will be with you, always.
What's up? This is Brian, and I'm the host of Citizens of Pawnee, a Parks and Recreation podcast. That's right, a podcast dedicated to my favorite TV show, Parks and Rec. Every week I discuss my favorite things about the show, which include character breakdowns, episode rewatches, and other random facts and tidbits about the show. You can find me on Instagram at Citizens of Pawnee Podcast and listen wherever you get your podcast now. You will literally love it.
And Nerd.
Listener, if you enjoy this show and you want more and you want to support this bullshit, this is a good time to go over, visit our Patreon fan club and sign up. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd.
And you will be supporting the show. You become kind of like a producer. You could do it on a monthly or annual basis, and you get stuff like access to the real podcast feed where the shows come out early, and there's lots of bonus content. For example, this week, our Patreon supporters got instant reactions to Beetlejuice. Rug Boy saw a really bad movie from the 80s called Cyclone. And there's a review of that. And then me and Rug Boy recorded a review of Barbarian, the movie from a few years ago. And it's only on Patreon. We will talk about a little bit about those later. But you can enjoy stuff like that. You can join us for our monthly Discord Hangout. September's Discord Hangout will be on Thursday, September 19th, 8 p.m. Central. Put it in your calendars. Mark it down. Put it in your Gmail thing. Whatever you got to do. And you can also pick a movie for us to review. It's a great way for us to expand our horizons, take recommendations, talk about different movies. Lots of fun stuff over on the Patreon.
Look at you guys putting all that content.
Yeah,
There was a lot of shit posted today. A lot of Rugs is doing a lot of work.
I'm just getting I'm watching all these fucking stupid movies, and I talk about them on What Are We Watching for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? I could probably do like a nice mini review.
Yeah, you can expand on it.
You know what? I haven't really been doing a lot of these after the movie reviews until like recently.
Yeah.
Now I'm like getting into the habit of recording my thoughts after I see a movie. So now, like, whenever I watch a movie, I want to record my thoughts.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, hey, it's great for the Patreon. You get more Jock and Nerd, more Rug Boy, more whatever you want.
Do it, send it over. And I've had fun on the 2 reviews we did, The Strange Darling and Barbarian. They're like a half an hour long. And both of these are movies where we have spoiler-free and spoiler thoughts because they're both movies you want to see without knowing anything. That was kind of the theme in those 2 movies. And just, it's interesting to go listen how they stack up. A lot of fun stuff. We're going to be posting more bonus content. So like I said, it's a good time to sign up. Okay, let's get to this week's review. It's time to return to the house on the hill in that little town in Connecticut and the underworld. The music rolls. You're flying over the bottle. Yes, it's Beetlejuice. Here's your spoiler alerts.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
The sequel to Beetlejuice 1988 only took 36 years to make this thing. They've been trying to make it for a while. Finally gets made. On the Rotten Tomatoes, it is currently sitting at 77% tomato meter, 82% audience score, which they now call the popcorn meter. It's called the popcorn meter. I did not know that. This movie was made for $100 million. The original, I believe, was like $10 million. And it was projected to open big this weekend, and, well, it does. It opened to $111 million.
Oh, shit.
Domestic weekend opening, currently sitting at $147 million worldwide. The original movie made a total of $75 million in its box office run.
I wonder why this did so well.
You know what? We could talk about it. There's a number of reasons, like the nostalgia, the fact that there hasn't been Beetlejuice for 36 years. But I think cleverly with the casting of Jenna Ortega, you are now pulling in two audiences. You're pulling in the people who grew up.
I don't even know who that is.
Jenna Ortega. She was Wednesday. She's been in the Scream movies, Rising Star. She plays Lydia Dietz' daughter.
Wait, you really think Jenna Ortega is the reason why?
I think that pulled in a lot of the younger demographic.
Really?
Yes. And the parents grew up with this movie. Now Jenna is in it, and the kids love Jenna. I think it was very smart to cast
Wednesday
her.
Adams was huge for her.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole group of young fans that are into her. And she's even in music, popping up in music videos. She's all over the place. She's doing everything.
They used her TikTok fame. She has like 38 million people on TikTok. They were pushing a lot of TikTok videos she made with the cast for this movie. And I think that really worked. Anyways, that 111 million is the second biggest September debut in history. It's the second biggest opening for Tim Burton, and it's the year's third best opening, just after Inside Out and Deadpool and Wolverine, which is kind of crazy. Now, we talked about Jenna Ortega. Of course, this movie, another beautiful thing about this movie is Tim Burton is back. Tim Burton directing the movie from a screenplay by Alfred Gough and Miles Millar, who those guys wrote on the Wednesday show, and based on a story by Gough, Millar, and Seth Grahame-Smith. Starring, of course, here's another great reason, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, 73 years old, and puts on the Beetlejuice makeup. Now, what's great is he got to play fucking Batman and Beetlejuice again over 35 plus years later. It's wild. Winona Ryder back as Lydia Dietz. Catherine O'Hara back as her stepmother, Delia Dietz. We just mentioned Jenna Ortega playing Winona's daughter, Astrid Dietz. You got Justin Theroux as Rory, Lydia's boyfriend / producer. Monica Bellucci as Dolores. Willem Dafoe is in this movie playing Wolf Jackson. You have Arthur Conti playing Jeremy, teenage boy, kind of love interest for Astrid. And a great cameo by Danny DeVito as the underworld's janitor. And some other people who we don't have is Jeffrey Jones. We'll get to that. Anthony.
Yes.
You just saw this movie. Like literally.
That's why there was no instant reaction, because literally I made the recording of the show was delayed because of me, because I was out all weekend getting drunk and decided not to see the movie when I should have. So I had to catch a 6:00 showing, and we normally record at 7:30. So you do the math.
I do love traditionally Anthony is watching the movie just right up to before we record, like every week. It's kind of great.
It's like the least important thing.
I'm going to wait till I absolutely have no more time to record this or think about it. Fine.
It'll be the absolute last thing I do before I record this podcast.
But you know what's smart about that? It's still fresh in your head.
It is, but when I do these, I don't have as much. I don't.
Sure.
I haven't coalesced all my thoughts,
That's
so it's going to be a little scrambled.
That's the con
Yes, I
part.
just saw the movie. What is it about? Is that what you just asked me?
Yes.
See, I don't even know what you guys. What do you ask?
PG-13. This one, hour 45 runtime. What happens in Beetlejuice?
In Beetlejuice, well, the family, Lydia is now an adult, and she's hosting ghost shows and shit, and with a live audience, but she's still seeing visions of ghosts, specifically Beetlejuice. And when her dad suddenly passes away, they have to go to the house that they once lived in back in the original Beetlejuice and collect all his shit and honor him with a ceremony. And she has a daughter that is pretty not in love with her, thinks she's crazy. And when they're at this house, all the old Beetlejuice shit starts to happen again because they come across the old model set from the original
Where Beetlejuice lives.
Yeah. And chaos ensues, and there's probably like 35 storylines going on.
Yeah, there's a lot more happening. Remember last week when we were like, the plot is very straightforward and just one thing happens. Well, they fixed that this time around. There's a fucking bunch of shit going on. Okay, here's your instant reaction. Normally, you put this on Patreon. Pretend it's Patreon. What'd you think?
Hey, Patreon listeners, thanks for listening to No, I'm just kidding. This movie, I would say that a couple things. I thought, first off, my first initial thought was, this is kind of a movie that you just normally wouldn't see because it felt like, to me, similar to almost the first one, where it was just like, this happens, now this happens, and we have this thing, and we have this thing, and there's not really like it like kind of just bouncing around like 3 or 4 storylines at the same time.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, we have this kid and he's a ghost, and he's a murderer, and then we have Beetlejuice's ex-wife.
Yeah.
And then we got the whole Beetlejuice thing. Oh, she sees dead people. Oh, there's this guy that wants to marry her.
Boyfriend's a douchebag. Yeah.
Yeah, there's all this like stuff.
Yeah.
And it did kind of remind me of the 80s, so it was kind of this chaotic thing. That said, I don't think for me the movie really started to pick up until they reveal that the boyfriend is actually a murderer.
Okay.
I thought the first half of the movie, while it was like fun being back there, I was a little bit bored.
Yeah.
But once that kind of kicked into gear, then the movie picked up. There's still some like threads that I felt like were like the evil wife. I felt was just kind of a weird thing that they threw in there, and then it really didn't pay off too much.
Yeah.
So overall, I think I liked the film, but I think it's pretty maybe by design, but I thought it was pretty chaotic. There were just so many, I think there was at least 3 or 4 storylines going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they always like intersected really well. But at the end of the day, I enjoy what's his face?
Keaton.
Dude is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Keaton's good as Beetlejuice. Yeah. You have these Winona Ryder who still looks relatively young, I guess.
Yeah.
You had the whole storyline with the daughter, and then you had some fun cameos with Danny DeVito and Willem Dafoe, and there was definitely more than a few times where I like chuckled in the empty theater I was in.
Yeah.
Starting off with just right off the bat with Catherine O'Hara, and she's like freaking out about the dad.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, did you get a divorce?" She's like, "No." What the? Why would you suggest that? He's dead. And just some of her lines, I just was like laughing the entire time. So
she had some good lines.
It made overall, I think the movie had enough to make me laugh. I wouldn't say, I'll hold off on this, but I'll just say right for now, I thought it was okay.
Okay. Ruggs, did you have a good time? What did you think?
I feel like the movie's at its best when they're in the netherworld, the neither world, so they call it.
Yeah.
And that's when it feels the most like Beetlejuice, and that's when it really has its charm. I did not think the thing that really broke my heart about this film is that I didn't think that musical possession was very good.
Yes, that's underwhelming.
Ill-timed.
Yes, didn't really work.
It was ill-timed and it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
And the fact that Beetlejuice was singing too.
And it's like at the end, it seems like tacked on, like they forgot. And they're like, oh shit, we should probably do this.
it didn't work for me. I thought it was. I mean, there's some moments. The song is a good choice. I don't think version of the song.
I didn't even know what that song was.
Someone left the cake out in the rain. I think
MacArthur Park.
I think that there's a one where a woman sings it and it's much better.
Okay.
But I think because Beetlejuice was singing it, it was weird. I don't know. It just didn't work. There were things that were okay. I think that Jenna Ortega's character, that dynamic, that her mother, she doesn't like her mother because her dad died and her mom couldn't see her. And they didn't really get into that why.
Yeah.
Because he's working down in the netherworld, he just never came back. I don't know.
Yeah.
They never explained what happened.
Maybe that's why that's where he was. He wasn't.
I think that if you work in the netherworld, you killed yourself, but he didn't. He got eaten by piranhas.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
So I don't know. A lot of that didn't really make sense. I think that Michael J. Fox, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I talking about? Michael Keaton was good. I feel like he definitely slowed down a little bit.
Oh yeah, you can feel his age. He's not as quick.
He was not talking as fast.
Not as quick as he was in the first.
You want to know something? I think Batman's easier for him to play.
Oh yeah, because
Batman's quiet and like reserved.
Yeah.
To be Beetlejuice, you need a lot of energy.
And a lot
you
of
need to fucking be bombastic.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, and he's not doing that.
Oh,
So he's just like a reserved Beetlejuice. And he's a ghost, so he shouldn't age. So
right,
it just you can notice those things. Overall, though, I think it's not the most offensive. You know what do I call these things? Revival sequels.
Yes,
where they try and revive the old cast and go out one more time.
And you bring the kids in. It's always about the kids.
Yeah.
And we've seen tons of these, right? Like Bill and Ted and Borat and Kevin. Ghostbusters does it.
But like, I think that their strategy was to try and make a movie for the new crowd, the younger kids.
Sure.
But what about the younger kids? Like a lot of kids watched Beetlejuice, right? Like it's like
there's an F word.
It's not really that much of an offensive movie besides that one MF bomb that they nice fucking model when he says that. But it's got no other curses in it, and it's kind of like innocuous movie. So it was a little bit more extreme. This one had a little bit more, little gorier.
Yeah,
like. I guess he's using some CG effects, like when he spills his guts, and you got the birth scene, like fucking Rosemary's Baby, the Beetlejuice Baby.
The Beetlejuice Baby is fucking frightening. I was like, what the fuck? But
they're just putting a baby, like a baby Yoda, a baby Beetlejuice. It's very, very much like been done, like a lot.
I mean, there's still some practical effects you see in there, which is nice. I thought it was. I liked that. I think I liked it more because we had just watched Beetlejuice, but I had a fun time. Thought it was entertaining. And I think it was nostalgia done right. There was enough nostalgia. You know, they start with the music and flying over the town and you're in right away, but it didn't rely too heavily on nostalgia. I thought there's a lot of things going on, but I felt what elevated this compared to the first one is those things were keeping the plot moving a little bit. But there was
always something going on.
There was always something going on where the first one is just kind of straightforward.
But did you learn anything that you didn't already know?
So we got some backstory on Beetlejuice. We see some more jobs in the underworld. I just really enjoyed seeing these characters again after 36 years, learning about what they are doing now. Getting back to the house and the model and up in the attic. It feels like Beetlejuice. It feels totally like it's that same world from 36 years ago, which I appreciated.
I think it's not a bridge too far. I think it's definitely got enough connective tissue visually. So I think a lot of people will be happy with how much it feels like Beetlejuice, especially in like the underworld, netherworld area. I also think that having a little bit more information about Beetlejuice being a grave robber.
Yes. There's so many things to talk about. I love the backstory and
I did not care for the Monica Bellucci character. I thought the assembly of her was cool.
Yes, when she staples herself
back together. They did nothing with that character. It was such a stupid character.
So here's the thing with the villains. You have these like three kind of thinly written villains that if you remove one or two of them, I don't know how much it really affects the movie. And all their endings are kind of anticlimactic also.
I would say the I would agree with Ruggs, and I brought that up to start. The Monica Bellucci villain, like if you take her out of the movie, the movie's completely the same. Like you don't even really need her.
You don't even need the husband in there either.
The husband was like a weird thing. I thought there was a little more value to the husband.
Yeah.
Like when he proposes to her on
that's
the
cringiest
funeral day,
fucking thing ever.
I was like, what the hell?
He proposes at the funeral, at Charles Dean's funeral.
But when you're saying three villains, really though, the kid was obviously. I found the kid to be the most intriguing.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep in mind when they're doing these villain things that Beetlejuice is technically a villain.
Well, in the first one, Beetlejuice was
in
the
this
bad
one
guy.
too.
In this one too.
They do. It's like an uneasy partnership. He's obviously there to like marry Winona Ryder's character and like stay there forever.
He's always thinking about himself. Yeah. But he, so he does help them out, and then he gets the shaft anyways. So, which I guess it's the fourth villain.
And then they resolve that whole marriage very quickly. Like the daughter's just like, it doesn't make. I read the book. It doesn't hold up.
She opened the book at the exact right page to be like, oh, I just draw a square on the floor and fucking sandworm.
Well, that's where I was like, this movie in general, with all the storylines it had, it was just like, this happened. Now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's very. It just jumps from one thing to another, and it's like, okay, now this is it. Now this is like, there's no, I mean, there is like a little bit of world building, but they don't. It's a relatively like, we're not going to think about this too hard.
No, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and really, you should.
And it's also very, in that sense, though, it's very safe.
Yeah, because it can just write its way out of whatever.
It's not really an elegant film at all.
No, but it's Beetlejuice.
I think they had an elegant film, and they just stapled all the shit onto it.
Okay, wait. Let's talk about his backstory. So we learn Beetlejuice has been, he lived in the 14th century in Italy. The whole thing is told like a Fellini film.
No, I think I don't know.
Because it's in Italian. And
he's speaking Italian, but I think he's not in Italy
Tim Burton liked the Fellini horror movies, so this is like his Fellini bit. So I don't know, maybe it's in Europe. 14th century, after the Black Plague, he survives, and he's a grave robber. And he meets her, Dolores LaVerge, and they get married, and she poisons him. So because she's part of some cult or something, I don't know. It was unclear. But then as he's dying, he fucking hatchets her up, chops her up, and they don't meet for like however many 600 years since then.
I didn't really get, not to harp on this too much, but I didn't really get why she's sucking the life out of people and what.
She's a soul
why
sucker.
she had that power.
I don't know. That's what they just kept saying. She's a soul sucker. That's her job.
And I thought it would have been a bigger build up to the end because you're building up this character to be a killer of dead people, like kills the dead.
Yes, she's the one who actually, if you're already dead, she will make you more dead.
And then she just kind of gets eaten by the sandworm, like
And it was
like the other guy.
Yes, and it ends a lot like the first movie. And Winona's in the same red dress, and they're taken out with the sandworm. And I knew it was predictable when she was going to show up. I was like, okay, now she's going to show up at the fucking wedding. The Danny DeVito cameo was great, seeing him, and then he got sucked up. He looked fucking disgusting. Great makeup.
I think it would have been better if Monica Bellucci comes back in the picture earlier and Beetlejuice falls back in love with her.
Yeah, because she wanted him back. She wanted to marry him. And they get married.
But then Lydia needs him.
Yeah.
And then she's got to be like, well, you've been following me around my whole life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now you want her. What about me? I need you to help me. And that would have been kind of more fun. But, and then there would have been a reason for her to be there.
They were doing the whole angle where each of the main characters has a lover that they don't want.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Someone that's evil to them, with each of those. And that's
except for Lydia's mom.
Except for Lydia's
Can
mom.
we talk about Charles Dietz? Because what they did was fucking hilarious.
I didn't like the animated part. It pulled me out of the movie.
When we find out Charles Dietz dies, Delia is telling Lydia the story. And it's funny because she's like, he was in a plane crash. And it's told in this weird, like, animated claymation style. Lydia's like, oh, he died in the plane crash? She's like, no, he survived and then got eaten by a shark. And then at the funeral,
he died doing what he loves, traveling to watch birds fuck.
Yes, because he was a bird. That's a great line. And then the funeral, you see that his headstone is in the shape of a shark fin.
Which
is hilarious. So they have Jeffrey Jones's pictures on there, but then when he shows up in the underworld, The whole top half of him is removed from a shark bite. You see his spine, and there's blood gurgling out, and you hear a voice. It's uncredited. Vaguely sounds like Jeffrey Jones. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. What a funny way. Because Charles Dietz dies, you need him in the underworld. How are you going to do this?
Well, I think they could have done that whole thing without the claymation and still would have worked.
The claymation bit was weird. Yeah.
Traditionally.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were throwing it back to what they did in the original, right? With the claymation.
Did they have claymation other than the sandworms there?
I mean, they had in like parts where Beetlejuice would freak out and his eyes would bug out, and the heads, when they stretched the heads, it was kind of like...
Here's the thing about as we go along to this, like I can't normally in these situations I'd be like, oh man, they kind of fucked it up, or they didn't treat the source material, but like Tim Burton did this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he didn't write it.
Yeah.
But he's that's his canon.
Yeah.
And he's doing what he wants with
the thing
it.
Is, that's true. That's how I feel. You can't be mad. This is like after 36 years, this is about as good as the Beetlejuice kind of thing you could put together.
I think it was serviceable. Absolutely.
It's similar to, and this will make our boy Nick Shev really happy. It's similar to like when Ridley Scott went back to the Alien and did shit. It's like, it's his shit.
It's Ridley.
He can do what he wants with it. It might not make sense. You might not agree with all the choices, but it was partly his shit.
Remember, his participation in Alien was debatable. Ridley Scott.
That's right.
What's funny about that?
Okay, what did you think about
nothing funny about that?
What did you think about where Lydia's character was after 36 years, and how Astrid is kind of how Lydia was in the first movie, sort of? Like, did that?
So Lydia's now basically turned her ghost seeing abilities into like money,
right?
Like making money
she's
off.
Making a TV show. The boyfriend's producing. She's got to do appearances. She's a medium.
Here's the thing about Lydia, real quick.
Yeah.
I know it's like nostalgia to see her like that, but I would have thought after 40 years she'd stop dressing like a doll.
Update her wardrobe and her hair. Nope.
I would have felt like she would have looked maybe a little different.
Still wearing black. Still, her haircut was kind of, it bothered me with the spikes. I was like, did you cut it like that? What is that? What's going on?
And it might be her persona. Look at the Long Island medium's hair. It's crazy.
Yeah, oh yeah, she got big poofy hair.
And they kind of make her. They kind of make her a dummy.
Yeah, a little bit. When
she's just getting conned by this guy.
Yeah, and like everybody can see the minute you meet him that this guy's a fucking new agey douchebag. Yeah, that he's not sincere. He tries to be.
I also didn't like. I actually didn't like the way Astrid talks to Lydia. Like she just like immediately is just like very disrespectful throughout the entire movie. Yeah. You're an idiot. You can't see shit. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, so she has a good point. Her father disappeared, South America, presumably dead. She's like, why can't you see him? And I was like, oh man, that's rough.
Well, they always do that though. That's a trope.
Yeah.
Though. Whenever they do these like legacy sequels, the kids always hate the old characters.
Right.
And then, like Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Like always, the kids always hate their parents. They're like, oh,
I know. It's such a tired trope.
Well, the kids, and they have to go through their own journey to get there, right? And they kind of they do that for Astrid. By the end, she's on board. The twist kind of got me with Jeremy. So, right, she runs off at the funeral after he proposes, crashes into this dude's treehouse. It's this kid, Jeremy, invites her over for Halloween. She comes over the next day. You see, he introduces her to her parents. You don't see their faces. They're very busy. Their backs are turned. And they go upstairs, and he reveals himself to be a ghost.
Right. That's where the movie picked up.
So then he makes her, he's like, I need your help to come back to life. You can see your father. He makes her recite something. It's clever because he's like, oh, I found this book at a thrift shop. And you think it's like the book from the Dietz house, the Maitland's house, the handbook for the deceased. Turns out it's his copy.
Right.
Yeah, we learn that he's tricked her. They've switched places, and he's trying to fucking get out while she's being...
You didn't see that coming at all?
No, I saw it coming when she showed up to his house at Halloween, and he's acting weird, and I was like...
No, I knew exactly when we walked into his house, and you didn't see his parents' faces.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was like, why aren't they showing?
Like, this guy's a ghost.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was just so bored at that point. There was a couple moments where I was almost falling asleep because I thought the first half was a little rough.
Yeah.
So I don't think I was fully in tune to catch what you guys were catching.
Yeah, so they find out that he killed his parents, and then the parents turn, and you see there's kitchen tools in their eye sockets, in their braids. And, but barely an inconvenience. They get Beetlejuice to help, and he's there with the passport, and this is where we get the first, the F-bomb, where he sends him to hell, and he's just like, see you later, fucker.
Well, when you're bringing back Beetlejuice, I thought in the first movie, they established that you bring back Beetlejuice to haunt people. Like, the ghosts use Beetlejuice to haunt people out of, like, situations where they're, like, cohabiting a house.
Right.
And now it's like, well, you can bring back Beetlejuice to deal with anything when it comes to the dead.
Anything. Well, but he's not, he was a freelance bioexorcist in the beginning. He's not that anymore. We learned that he is the manager for the call center in the afterlife with Bob and those other dudes. I love Bob. He stole the show. I was sad when he died. They shouldn't have killed Bob.
Oh, you're talking about the shrunken
head guy, Bob, was great. The little noises he was making. Can't say anything, and they were so expressive. But so in this one, he's just like, he's been working down there this whole time. That's what I thought. And he just
didn't they, like, in the first movie not want him around? They were like, oh, don't say that guy.
Yeah,
that guy
he's trouble, but apparently they've just given him a desk job. Yes.
I thought he had like a rogue operation going on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Really?
And then now he's kind of integrated into this.
Okay,
he was like a rogue operation, right?
I thought he was he was the head of the call center, whatever. But that's why you needed Dolores, Monica Bellucci's character, to give him some motivation to get the fuck out of there and get married again, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. So
I did like when he appears, though, through the thing, and he slowly rises up.
The juice is loose.
Yeah.
That's a great entrance. They do swear again, and they beep it out the second time. I think he goes, "What the fuck?" And it's like beep.
Swear. Yeah.
And I was like, they gave you one. So then Delia gets bitten, and she dies very quickly. That was kind of sudden.
That just was like, oh, she's dead.
She's dead.
We just wrote this, and she's dead now. All of a sudden,
she decides to poison herself with snakes.
Those scenes were funny in the afterworld where she's
great in the movie. She's
so good.
She's the same age as Michael Keaton, but she's bringing it like
you
wouldn't
she's
even
amazing.
know.
Her. I would say like the standouts from obviously Michael Keaton's good, but like her and Willem Dafoe, I thought were just like having a blast.
Let's talk about Willem Dafoe playing Wolf Jackson. I guess he was an actor
playing a cop.
And in the underlife, he's a cop, and he's practicing, and there's someone there to hold coffee cups for him so he can just crush them and throw them.
Cue cards behind people.
Yes, when he's talking to them, there's cue cards up there. It wasn't necessary, but it was funny. So he's investigating all the deaths Dolores is doing, and it leads him to Beetlejuice.
Well, I think his role was to kind of replace that old lady that was in the first.
Juno, the caseworker.
Right. They needed someone like that. And Willem Dafoe is always going to be like, if you cast him in anything sort of creepy or funny like that, like he's always going to fit in.
Yeah, he's chewing the scenery and just having a blast. I did enjoy the Willem Dafoe. And I really like Jenna Ortega in this. I thought, and as Wednesday, she's playing like a weird goth teenager, but this one she's playing a normal, skeptical teenager. But she's really good. I always buy everything she's doing. There's the Soul Train, so we also learn a little bit about what happens to them. We learned that there was a loophole that Lydia helped Adam and Barbara Maitland cross over due to a loophole, so I like the closure on that.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about them.
They did mention them. With some of the other...
They probably just didn't have money to be like,
no, because you'd have to de-age them, right? They don't age. They'd have to look the same.
That's right.
You can't have them old, and nobody's aging. So I was all right not seeing the Maitlands. You had the model, and you had... Oh, did you notice in the beginning, the model, you see their car in the river under the bridge, and you see like them crawling out of the model. That was a nice little touch.
I did not notice that.
They fly over that. I love when Beetlejuice was singing the Richard Marx song, Right Here Waiting. That was funny. That was a good lip sync.
Man, did you write down every single detail of the movie?
Just the Easter eggs I could remember. Here's a question. She's in the same wedding dress. Somebody else brought this up. I don't know if it's true. Was Dolores missing her ring finger? Because I think in the first one where he pulls out the ring and there's a finger on it, I think that was her finger from that wedding.
Dolores?
Yeah.
Who's Dolores?
The Monica Bellucci.
Was she missing a ring? She puts her finger
She does
back on.
put
That's
the
last
finger
thing.
on.
Yeah, it's the last thing she
It would have
puts
been
on.
nice if she didn't have that finger and that was his finger. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. Do you guys think this is a little return to form for Tim Burton? I felt like Tim Burton and Keaton effortlessly like slips back into this role as Beetlejuice, and Tim Burton's having fun with the same.
I like this kind of Tim Burton.
I do. Yeah.
Because when he tries to make regular movies or movies that are like too far outside of his purview, like they just don't have the magic. This was okay. I think that he should do more movies like this, like Edward Scissorhands, like these movies that are like comedic but tragic at the same time, and they have that weird Tim Burton quirkiness.
Yeah, goth darkness.
Yeah, I think people still like that. I think you have a bunch of kids that are growing up on like really weird shit. Like there's like popular stuff that's all like had to do with like monsters and fucking zombies and all these fucking like Twilight type shit, you know, like all this, like there's always like a dark undercurrent with young people. They like that stuff. There's always into monsters and vampires and around Halloween, because Halloween's such a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think this ties in perfectly with Halloween and the season, the spoopy season, and all that fun shit.
But it's so unique. Like nobody's really doing like a wacky, dark, goofy thing like this. Comedy horror. It's very uniquely Tim Burton.
I agree. I do agree. I remember when I was watching. I remember as if this was a long time ago.
Mhm.
When I was watching the movie, I legitimately thought to myself, I went, "There's not a lot of movies that look like this right now."
Yeah,
you know, but in terms of how it looks, how wacky it is,
practical effects,
practical effects, the tone, just everything. It's all unique in terms of what you would see in the compared to mainstream films. There's not a lot of films about the dark underworld that's a comedy and having all the visuals that you would have. So in that sense, I do appreciate that Tim Burton was like, I'm still just going to make a Tim Burton Beetlejuice film and fuck it. Whatever happens, happens.
I think it's partly why it opened how it did. Is just people saw something different and refreshing and nostalgia. And
It's also helpful that Beetlejuice hasn't been beaten into the ground, right?
Yes,
we have one movie.
Yes,
and then
not even that.
17
17 minutes. That's all you had. 17 minutes of Beetlejuice spawned all this.
Right. So you could do it. He basically could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
There's no, if anything, if I had to nitpick, I wish we would have had a more, like, if they do another Beetlejuice, I think what you do is like an origin Beetlejuice movie.
I kind of want to see Astrid, some adventures with her in Beetlejuice, and maybe they team up and they continue. What you want to see? What, like an old school?
An origin.
Oh, well, they kind of gave us that a little bit. A little bit.
I know, but I want to know, like, I want to see some of like his early adventures, why he got like
before he was dead.
Yeah, before he was dead, and then also once he became
Early
Beetlejuice.
dead, yeah.
Like, what made him all of a sudden this like non sequitur? Like, no one wants to hang with him. All that shit.
I mean, if the guy lived during the Black Plague and just saw death everywhere, like I think that informs a lot of his attitude of like, fuck it. And his darkness, that's all he knew. If you think about it, but I don't know.
Do you think if you grew up during the plague, Imran, you'd end up like Beetlejuice? I feel like you guys have similar personalities.
Maybe I'd be really skeptical and foul and just like, I don't know.
I feel like you do the opposite of Ghostbusters. You just like, I could see like Astrid like and Beetlejuice going and like getting rid of people, like helping dead people get rid of annoying people that live in the houses.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could just do all the different types of annoying people that there are.
The ghosts find them to get shitty people out of their house.
Like you have a very liberal couple that dies and then Trump supporters move into their house. Oh my God,
that's hilarious. Yeah, you can do all sorts of things like that.
Shit. There are vegans and then like the carnivores move in.
We're trying to have a barbecue.
Yeah.
These fucking
They're
vegans.
constantly barbecuing. Yeah.
I mean, he is 73, so I don't know if he's going to want to do this again, but you could do more. They leave it kind of open. Oh,
you could have Baby Juice grow up.
Let's talk about the ending with the baby Beetlejuice. The ending, it's fucking wild. So many things happen really quickly. So after the wedding, and that's all resolved, Lydia is shooting the last episode of her show. She wants to hang out with Astrid. And you see like a montage where they're going to all the places Astrid and her father wanted to go. And it fast forwards through time. She's in college. She sees a dude. Apparently this guy's name is Vlad. Then there's a wedding. She's married.
Well, she's at Dracula's castle.
Yeah, she's at Dracula's castle. This guy, it's credited as Vlad. So he may be a vampire that she marries. Because they focus in on him.
He's dressed as Dracula.
Yeah, they focus in on him. I was like, are we supposed to know who that is?
This is all a dream sequence, everyone.
Oh, yeah. So it's a dream. She's married. She's pregnant. The baby comes out. It's a fucking Beetlejuice baby. It crawls on the ceiling, drops into her arms. And then Lydia wakes up only to be in the bed with Beetlejuice next to her. And he's like, you're not going to believe the dream I just had. And then she wakes up again. Kind of implying that he's always going to be haunting her, maybe. What the ending was, I was like,
maybe, yeah, of course.
What did
That's
you
exactly what they're saying.
what the fuck? What did you guys think of that ending? That was crazy.
It was weird. I felt like that birth was a little bit much. It was like,
does he come shooting out of there or something?
It was like a big explosion of blood, and he comes shooting out of there, and it was just like, I'm like, baby juice again.
Baby juice. You got to have a baby something.
I mean, I think that ending, it was they threw a lot at you, and I don't know if I necessarily liked it, but I appreciated that Tim Burton was like, oh, no, this ain't ended with like a happily ever after thing. I'm just gonna throw some wild shit to end this thing and leave you going, oh fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah,
what the fuck was it? It worked. I literally walked out of that movie like, what the fuck just happened?
Yes,
there?
the end was crazy. Then it ends, and I'm like,
I had to look at Wikipedia and be like, was that a dream or did I just see something that actually happened?
Nah, it was definitely
a dream within a dream. It was an Inception dream. And it was a crazy ending.
Hey, I mean, Tim Burton, I'll give him credit, man. Tim Burton and these writers, they were like, fuck it, we're just going to write shit. This is, in that sense, like, I respect that it was like it felt like an 80s movie because it was just like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We don't care. Yeah. We're just doing what we want. It's if we want to see a fucking baby Beetlejuice come out of Happy Wednesday, we're gonna write that.
I can write that. I can make that happen. No, and I appreciated that too because it doesn't take itself that seriously, and you kind of enjoy it. And I had some laugh out loud moments for me too. I like when he showed her the picture and his eyes bug out, and he's like, "I've never seen that woman in my life." I like when Catherine O'Hara, Delia, like goes to the first time the priest talks to her when she's like, he died, and the priest is like, oh, have the spirit go into the past, the faith, and the matter. And she just goes, what? Right at him. It was really, that priest was hilarious. I didn't know what he was saying anytime.
I couldn't write down the lines because I was seeing it in the theater, but as we mentioned earlier, I thought Catherine O'Hara had so many great reactions to things.
Yeah.
And her character being like this, I don't even know how to describe, like, I've never met anyone that's like that.
I like that she's still like this weird artist, and now it's like
weird
artist person. Off that French guy in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that guy dies and he
falls into a manhole.
Yeah, he falls into a manhole. We follow him into the underworld.
I like that at the end too. She's like, or they're like, you're dead, but all your artwork's gonna go up in value, and she's basically like, yeah, cool, all right, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
that's all she wants. Great. Finally, she gets the recognition she always wanted. The weird.
They just like a killer out of nowhere.
Yeah, the
like,
snakes. She's like, I'm gonna do this ritual at Charles's grave. These snakes have been defanged, I was told. And they were not. They just, I'm like,
bit, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, she's dead.
I was like, wait, did they just kill her? She's in the fucking waiting room, and she's like,
and she was like, no, I can't be dead. I have things to do.
Can I talk to someone?
I've got global entry.
I got global entry. Does that do anything? That was really funny. She had probably the more funny lines than even Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic too, because in the first one, she's kind of the villain.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah,
and now in this one, Winona Ryder's just like, I kind of like you. You've always kind of been all right.
It's been 30 years, and now because at one point Delia's trying to help her. She's like, "Where's that teen that used to bug me all the time? You got to bring that back. Tap into her again and get this done."
I like that she goes to the school, Catherine O'Hara, and is like just basically, I can't quote the lines, but she's always like, just cut your shit and get out here.
Yeah, so just yelling in front of all her friends.
Get the fuck out here.
Let's go. So yeah, it's fun stuff. All right, let's wrap it up. Anthony, final thoughts. Give me a score. Did you like it better than the first one?
I actually had a good time talking to you guys about the movie. I would say the first half of the movie, I found it to be a little slow. I was like, where is this going? Yeah. And then as mentioned a few times, started to pick up for me. I appreciated how wacky it was in that they had so many different things going on. I could do without the Monica Bellucci stuff. I felt like that really didn't add anything in retrospect. I respect the tone and, just it being a Tim Burton film. But I do like the first one better. I think the first one is while this one has more going on, the first one I think is a tighter film.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton definitely has way more energy in that one.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. I think this movie was fine. I think it was a good, like nostalgia. I would rate it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I like the first one better.
Yeah. Rugs?
I was going to give it a 6.5. I feel like it's going to hit the right notes. If you miss Beetlejuice and you want to see Beetlejuice again, and you want to hear the music again, you want to see the practical effects again, and you want to see the underworld again, you're going to get to see all that. But it comes with a little bit of baggage with some of this tacked on stuff and a kind of weak musical number.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And so if that musical number would have been good, it would have saved the whole film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably pushed it to a 7.5 or an 8. But as it stands, even though I like that song, I just don't know. I don't like where it was, how it was handled, and I felt like it brought the ending down a little bit. And so it's a 6.5.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the two movies together. If you watch the first one and watch the second one, it's a great compliment. It feels like Beetlejuice. Getting to hang out with these characters after all this time was great. The musical number thing, though, also bugs me because I didn't even know what that song was. And I was like, what is this song? I wasn't familiar. It wasn't like Harry Belafonte, who's got a certain, vibe and it lifts you up.
Yeah, it was a different kind of song.
It seems so tacked on, but
yeah,
I did have a good time. I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's a 7 for me. But I still think you're right. The first one's iconic.
It's elegant.
And it's elegant because there's less. Maybe a little too many things going on. I appreciated that there were more things moving the plot this time, but I think it was a little bit too much. But I love seeing the gang back together, and they didn't just do the hits. They actually tried to make something a little bit fresh.
It's commendable.
Yeah, it's serviceable, commendable, a little bit fresh without being too nostalgic. I love learning more about Beetlejuice, and all these jobs and the cameos were good. So yeah, I'll give it a 7. Not as good as the first, but fun and fitting Beetlejuice sequel. Okay, let's do some news from the nation. Find out what our listeners thought.
It's time for news from the nation. It's time for news from the nation.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
Oops, I pressed it twice. Got just a couple of comments about Beetlejuice. Rick Martinez said Beetlejuice was boring. Just like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I checked out at the hour mark. I will say I like this better than Frozen Empire. I watched Frozen Empire. It's on Netflix. It's very forgettable. It is them doing the hits, and it just like it in the trailer. It's funny when he's referring to the Ghostbusters Ray Parker Jr. song, but the movie has a lot of that throughout the whole movie, and it's just a little much. And it was just okay. The bad guy was not great. I thought this was better than Frozen Empire. Anyways, Jose Ibarra says, was it a great film? No. Was it a necessary film? No. Was I entertained? Yes. It had a great mix of nostalgia without being overly reliant on it. It could have done without the ex-wife plot, and literally nothing would have changed. Some plot was shaky at best, but it's a Beetlejuice movie. Plot is optional. It did what it needed to do. It didn't shit on its legacy like The Crow.
That's a good point.
I agree with that. I was satisfied. I was like, it wasn't offensive. It didn't shit on its legacy, and it did what it had to do. Absolutely. So I think they did a good job.
Well, I mean, the Crow is awful.
Yeah.
To defend the Crow, very, very little.
Yeah.
One, it's hard to compare because one's a remake. This is a legacy sequel.
Sure. It's different things.
Yeah, it's different things.
That's true.
Like if they remake Beetlejuice,
yes,
I'm sure that's not going to be good.
Now people are going to be way more critical of
then
that.
they're going to shit all over. Who could you cast nowadays to do a Michael Keaton like that? I don't even know.
You would have to cast a guy. Well, yeah, who would you do that with?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh my God! Oh, that would be the most annoying fucking thing, and it probably would be him.
I think you would go with like I think you got to go with someone that like Ryan Reynolds is always kind of like that stuff, doing that shit. The first person I thought of was Chris Hemsworth.
Hemsworth, really?
Yeah.
As Beetlejuice?
I was thinking more of like a Zach Galifianakis type.
I'm thinking of, and the reason I'm thinking
Hemsworth's
that
funny.
is he is funny,
Yeah.
and he did that whole with the weird nose.
Yeah, and the fat suit, and for Thor.
Well, with the weird nose
for
in,
Furiosa.
Yeah, when his nipples colored.
Yeah.
He's acting kind of crazy in that movie.
Bruggs, who? If you pick one person, if you had to recast Beetlejuice, who could do it?
Oh, I'm sure I could think of someone great, but no one's rising to the occasion at the moment. Give me a few minutes.
No, I was watching some YouTube video of the musical Beetlejuice. Like, there's a song that's like called "Say My Name," and that guy is like a guy with a beard. Kind of, he looks like Paul Walter Hauser or Zach Galifianakis in the musical. Paul Walter Hauser could be interesting as Beetlejuice.
I don't know about that.
Or maybe another character that's related to Beetlejuice. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of the first movie, Pete Massis on Instagram sent us this observation about the first Beetlejuice. He says, just rewatching Beetlejuice, talking about the part where they go into town for a part at the hardware store. It looks like they own the hardware store because it's called Maitland's. That's probably why he just walks in and gets what he wants and then gets out. That's a great catch. I didn't notice that. That it was called Maitland. So if they own that, I don't know what that means. If they own that hardware store. With old Bill next door. You gotta get rid of him. That guy's useless.
I needed a haircut.
Yeah.
That guy. Oh, I wish that guy was there
The
still
guy
talking.
should still be there.
I mean, he's probably dead. but-
Yeah.
Still telling the story.
Wouldn't it be funny if they drove by?
If he was in another, if he's in the other underworld.
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, he
was
should be in the waiting room still telling that story to somebody
Yeah.
in the waiting room would be hilarious. I mean,
See, we could write this.
we could. It's easy. No, but I love it. I think you're right, Ruggs. Like when they're in the afterworld, like it feels like Beetlejuice. It's colorful. It's fun. It's wacky.
It's colorful, but like they use a lot of like green, purple, blue. Like that's really like
there's a couple
where they're living.
Yeah, some like black light reactive shit to make it
Right.
glow and shit. And now they got to hire a new janitor also.
Did you like the? While we're on this, did you like the whenever they go on the Soul Train?
Oh yeah, when they're dancing.
And all the black people come
I
out?
wish the guy didn't go get on board to the Soul Train. That's what he should have done. But he
It's always like a musical number. I was like, how do I feel about this?
I know they were trying to do like it was a little bit like the Deo scene or the Harry Bell with these people dancing. It was funny to go on the Soul
Is it?
Train.
Is it? And the Soul Train takes you to heaven.
To heaven, yeah. That's
Okay.
where you go. So we get some more answers about like what the process is.
I got a wacky Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Pete Davidson.
Oh my God! You know what?
God.
You know what? I'm on board. He's got the eyes. He's got the sunken bug out eyes already.
Or Andy Samberg, one or the other.
That's not bad. Pete Davidson is Beetlejuice. He looks like fucking Beetlejuice already.
Like he looks like he'd be leering at women
Yes.
and hocking up a loogie into his fucking shirt.
All right, those are all good.
I got an off the wall.
Yeah.
one. That it's not gonna be that off the wall, but it's not in the line of what you guys are saying. Colin Farrell.
Oh.
He could do it. He could do it.
Because I'm trying to think of like guys that you think are serious actors.
Put him in.
And then they do something like that.
Colin
And I'm
Farrell.
going Colin Farrell, yeah.
No, he's taking jobs away from fat and ugly people.
What about Seth Rogen as Beetlejuice?
Oh, that could be good, but his voice is going to get annoying because he doesn't do a different voice. It's just like,
So Seth Rogen, I feel like that is a Beetlejuice role, but it's very typecast for him.
Or Adam Sandler. But
No,
he
so
would
you guys are picking. You guys are going safe.
Yeah.
Those are safe picks.
Yeah, you're going crazy. You're like
What
Robert
about
De
Jonah
Niro.
Hill? What about Jonah Hill?
Jonah Hill. But that's the whole Paul Walter Hauser, Zach Galifianakis. That whole thing. But if you
Robert De Niro,
Al Pacino. Wow.
What do we get a black Beetlejuice?
Oh, he's gonna be black and white.
Say hello to my little
white face.
Yeah, like you could do like some. Yeah, we can get a black guy to be Beetlejuice.
Eddie Murphy.
Who's funny?
I don't know.
You got like Hannibal
Jesus
Buress.
Christ, you're going Eddie Murphy.
Dave
Imran,
Chappelle.
you can't think of any other black actor than Eddie Murphy.
Dave Chappelle is Beetlejuice.
Oh my god. Everyone's living in like 1990.
No, you could do like Jay Farrow or some of the guys that were on SNL. They're funny.
How over the moon would you be if they cast Camille as Beetlejuice?
I would protest that. I don't think that's a good one.
You would protest.
I would
that.
protest it. No, don't do it. Kumail with his Kermit the Frog voice. No, I don't know. Kumail is funny in Frozen Empire. Actually, he's in that for a little bit. He's part of the plot. He's kind of funny.
See, you just roll out, and just give him a little line. And he'll
only
go
good
off
thing about Kumail.
What about Bill Hader?
Yeah.
No, he could be Beetlejuice.
You could do Will Forte, Tom Hanks as like.
Oh God, no, not Tom Hanks.
He's David S.
Tom Hanks
Pumpkins.
too old.
Yeah, he's too old. But the point is, don't remake Beetlejuice. Just don't do it. It's done.
It'll at some point it'll get remade.
Maybe
they're gonna remake.
Make another one before Keaton's 80, but that's about it.
Trevor Noah as Beetlejuice.
Trevor Noah as Beetlejuice.
That'll be the most divisive Beetlejuice
Just does
ever.
political jokes.
Yeah,
it'd be funny.
Well, that's when we do that spin of the Republicans moving into the Democrat house.
Lakeith Stanfield.
They could do that whole movie.
Yeah, they could do that.
Lakeith Stanfield. Oh God,
why not? Okay. Anyways, let's finish up with some. What are we watching, Anthony? I know you're watching football. You watch Beetlejuice. Anything else?
No, it's football season, baby.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It is
It's all football all the time. Barely can fit in. That's why I'm watching this fucking movie right before the last second. What are you guys watching?
Ruggs, what are you watching?
I watched a bunch of shit this week.
Okay.
I don't know how this movie came to me, but I think I was on a Twitter thread and people were talking about like 80s movies with like female leads. And someone pointed out there's this Heather Thomas movie called Cyclone that was made by this director that's known for making smut. Let me just look up his name because I forgot to look it up before.
His name is Fred Olin Ray.
Yeah, Fred Olin Ray. So if you look at his filmography, it's just smutty movies.
Oh my God.
It's just like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and Attacking a 60-Foot Woman. He's got like literal porn stars in his movies. Inner Sanctum, Alienator, Bikini Drive-In. Like all of these smut films. They're not like porn, but they're like they're like softcore pornography, whatever. But like anyway, so he made this film with Heather Thomas and freaking there was other people in this movie. There was like the guy who played Dracula in Ed Wood. What's his name?
Martin Landau's in this movie.
Martin Landau's in it. So Martin Landau's in this movie.
Fucking Landau.
Yeah, and then there's like so the movie's about. So the movie opens up with this guy. He pulls up on his like super like Knight Rider type bike where it's like it's got armor, it's got missiles, it's like this futuristic bike, and he's putting it into a secret lab, and then it cuts to two women sweatily working out at a gym and like with like panning shots of their boobs and everything, and them heavily breathing and pushing things with their legs. And it's Heather Thomas and this girl that she's working out with. And then they proceed to have their first conversation in the locker room where all the other girls are naked except for Heather Thomas. And I was like, well, I thought I was going to at least get to see her naked in this movie.
Heather Thomas from Fall Guy.
She was completely clothed and
but
whatever. But I was like,
okay.
So everybody else is doing the hard work in the background. Yeah. Anyway, so basically, she leaves the gym to go meet up with her boyfriend, who's the guy who's building this secret miracle bike. And these three guys try to like accost her and try to like jump her and like sexually assault her. And she gets away from them because her friend like distracts them, and she takes off on her bike to go buy some parts for her boyfriend that she needs for the bike. Yeah. And he goes into the bike shop, and there's this old man looking at like a porno mag, and he's like looking at her up and down. It's just really, really funny. Like It's a terrible movie, but it's like full of shit like that.
So the trailer I watched, it looks horrible.
So then she leaves the store, and the three guys that tried to assault her are back. But this time she just kicks their ass, like with kung fu.
Because she knows how to fight.
All of a sudden, she gets home, and her boyfriend's like working on this bike, and she's like begging him to go out to a nightclub. So they go out to a nightclub, and her boyfriend gets killed, and she's like all like freaked out. She goes back home, and there's like a video that for some reason is left to her. And she puts it in the thing, and it tells her how to use the bike.
Oh, there's a video for the bike. That's helpful.
It's like directions, how to put it together. So there's like a whole montage of her like sweatily putting the bike together.
The bike.
Yeah, and she's like she's got to take it to her to a safe place, like to a friend of his that will take the bike and take care of it and get it in the right hands. But basically, that never happens, and there's like a whole chase that ensues, and it's a fucking terrible movie. And I watched
this bike. Looks like shit. Also,
it's terrible. It doesn't even look like it gets above 30 miles an hour. It is so lame, but shit explodes. There's plenty of shit that explodes in this movie, but it's ridiculously bad. And I watched the whole fucking thing, and you can watch it for free on YouTube if you wish.
So on our
there's that movie.
On our Patreon, you posted your review, and Jose Ibarra comments, I had to check out some clips on YouTube after listening to this. This movie is bonkers. Thanks for bringing it to my attention.
It's so bad.
See, you're doing some good in the world, Ruggs.
There is just some wacky shit. My favorite thing in this movie is that they go to a nightclub, right? And she's talking about it this whole time. Take me to the new nightclub. It's the fucking hottest thing in town. We got to go, blah, blah, blah. And they get to the nightclub, and it's the saddest attempt at trying to make a nightclub that I've ever seen. It looks like a Knights of Columbus with like neon like streamers, and like it just looks so bad. Like no one believes that this is a real club.
Fucking
no one even
Shriners headquarters.
Yeah, it's so bad. It looks. It's just terrible. It's like they had like folding tables. It was like really bad. This is the most budget thing I've ever seen. So I watched that, and then I watched Good Boys, which is I think on Prime now, I believe.
Is that Seth Rogen with the sweary little teenagers?
It's like super bad with like fifth graders.
I like this movie. I remember watching this.
You watched it?
Yeah. I remember that it was pretty good. There's there's dildos. There's fucking.
There was a lot of dildos. There's a lot of sexual stuff.
Yeah. And they're like 10-year-olds, these kids, and they're fucking swearing and shit.
Yeah, and the thing with the drone and the girls chasing them and all that, and they're buying drugs.
Yeah, that's right. They got to try to make the drug deal, and there's the drone. It's a fun movie. I remember when it came out, the kids were like, we can't even go see this movie. It was it's rated R. They weren't old enough.
It's like a throwback to like a Superbad.
Yeah.
That basically it's Superbad with fifth graders. And my favorite character in the whole movie is the little brother that is like the most popular kid in school.
Yeah.
He's like this like little kid. He's like smaller than everybody, but he talks like all tough.
The blonde kid, right? Yeah.
No, like the kid. I would say he's the Asian kid.
Oh,
he's like the Asian kid.
Okay.
I forgot his name, but he was like the Mac Daddy of all Mac Daddies. He was like, making all the rules. He's like all grown up and shit. But he's like the smallest kid. He looks like he could be 5. It's pretty funny. It was an okay movie. It wasn't like laugh out loud, but it did entertain me. So whatever, you can take that. Probably like a 6. Right?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a fun. There's some good laughs in it. It's only an hour and a half. So
I also saw 2 back-to-back Man versus Beast movies.
Okay,
65, which is that
Adam Driver dinosaurs.
Adam Driver versus dinosaurs movie. And it was half baked, but I found out I felt it to be okay.
Wait,
an okay film.
I'm gonna hit that.
Spoiler alert.
What is the deal? Does he time travel? Does he land on Earth? How do they explain any of this shit?
He's an alien.
Oh, he's an alien, and
he's for some reason there's a whole bunch of people that look just like humans that live on a galaxy far, far away or something. And he crash lands on Earth and has to get the fuck out of there.
But does he crash land during like the dinosaur era, like when they were around?
Yes, so there's dinosaurs.
So it's in the past, but he's an alien.
It's 65 million BC, right before the dinosaurs were extinct.
Why does he look? There's humans. Okay, all right, whatever.
There's no humans there.
But he's a human. He's an alien, but he's a human.
Yeah, he's an alien. He's a human. And then I watched.
Was it good? Was it good?
Sir, I mean, like everything was fine. It just was half baked and not. is not really a lot there.
Okay.
There's not really a lot there.
Okay.
Then I watched Outlander, which I've already seen before, but it's been such a long time since I've seen it.
One?
Jim Caviezel is he crash lands on Earth. He's also an alien that looks like human, and he crash lands on Earth during the Viking ages, except it's like Beowulf and Grendel. Like he crash lands, but on the ship is like an alien that kills everybody, and that gets loose amongst the Vikings and starts killing off the Vikings. And he goes and he's like, look at he gets into the Viking clan, and he's like, look, I'm going to help you kill this monster. And they all kind of hunt down this monster and try and kill it. And I thought it was actually, for an adaptation of Beowulf, not terrible.
Better than 65?
I don't know. I feel like they're both okay. I think that the Outlander has more of a traditional sci-fi action movie like feel to it. It's kind of like, it feels like an 80s or 90s action movie.
That's funny. They're both movies about aliens crash landing in the past,
right,
on Earth. Interesting.
And the last thing I watched was Rings of Power, the latest episode.
How's that going?
It's fine. It's like, it's not terrible. It's not even bad. It's just all right. It's all right. It's like, it's not so bad. It's not like Alkalite where it's really, really bad. There's bad acting. There are things that piss me off about this show, but it's not like I wouldn't be making a YouTube channel about it. Like that, it's this, like some people are like, they're making their whole lives about ripping on this show.
Yeah, that's like it replaced the Acolyte for people.
I mean, it does bother me that they have no male characters that have any agency, and they're trying to kind of correct the ship here a little bit, but and it's like a little bit too late because like it's a little late. It's because like now you don't know who to follow. Like, am I following Galadriel? Am I following this person? Is this person in charge? And I don't know, it's just kind of weird that they're trying to. You could see them slowly trying to shift things around, but I think it's moving too slow.
Okay,
It's like not progressing fast enough.
I'm still not interested.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned we both watched Barbarian and posted a review on Patreon. This is the movie from 2022,
right?
Directed and written by Zach Kreger, starring Bill Skarsgård, Georgina Campbell. And it is another one of those movies. And I remember when it came out that everyone was like, you want to go into this without knowing anything. And last week,
it's a blind date movie.
Yeah. Last week, you kind of gave the premise of, lady at an Airbnb shows up, somebody's there. Now, this movie on Rotten Tomatoes is 92% tomato meter, 71% audience score. People love this movie. Our scores were not close to that 92%. I'll just tell you that much. And it may ruffle some feathers, which it already has. If you're on the Patreon, but
I've seen many a reviewer on YouTube, many a reviewer elsewhere. After I watched this movie, I watched a ton of reviews, and it seems like the people like Chris Stuckman loved it because he loves horror.
Yeah, and
I guess he's used to I don't watch a lot of horror.
Yeah,
I don't make because I think horror movies are usually dumb.
Yeah,
like a lot of the times, people, I said, I will just yell at the screen, "Don't go in there! There's a guy in there!" Why would you open that door?
I was yelling.
I
was yelling at this movie the whole fucking way through because it starts out strong and they're doing believable things, and then very quickly they start making some dumb decisions, and that's where you lose me. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? Just leave. No, what? Don't go there.
Right.
What are you doing? I was fucking yelling at this movie the whole time.
So yeah, I don't really like watching horror movies from the get-go. This movie, just like you said, started off really great. Everything with Bill Skarsgård and this girl was passable. Even though it's a leap that this girl would go into the Airbnb with this guy already in there and decide to sleep there. They make it so you can buy it, right? Yeah. But then there's stuff that starts to happen. Every time it just stretches it keeps stretching and asking more and more of you.
I think it gets a little silly by the end.
And then by the end, it's just completely silly. But
would you recommend? I'd still recommend it. I think it's worth watching
because. But don't I didn't love it 92% like on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. You balance your expectations a little bit.
Watch this without watching the trailer or knowing anything, and I think
it's
that's
entertaining,
the best way.
but it's all right. It's got its problems.
I finished that show Chaos on Netflix. You checked that out yet, Ruggs?
No.
Jeff Goldblum as Zeus. It's not bad. It's a pretty good story. The center story focuses on the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Are you familiar with that? With Orpheus and Eurydice, Ruggs? Anybody?
Is that the ones that Eurydice is the one that makes the music? Orpheus is the one that makes
the music.
And Eurydice has to sing the song or whatever.
And she
hypnotized.
Yeah. Well, the basic Greek myth is she dies and goes to like the afterlife, and Orpheus goes down there to get her. Right. And on the way back, I believe the myth goes, they told him, the only thing, when you're leaving, don't turn back to look and see if she's there. And he does that right before they get out, and like Eurydice turns to salt and dissolves, and his hubris gets the best of him because he's a musician or whatever. That's like kind of the main story in this Chaos show, but it also deals with prophecies, the fates, the furies, Zeus trying to hold on to his empire. It's pretty good. I really liked it. There's scenes in Hades that are all black and white in the underworld. So you visit the underworld. It's a modern day look at the Greek myths.
I like Blood of Zeus. That's a great.
Oh yeah, that's the animated, right?
Yeah.
So Chaos, fun time. Goldblum is great as this asshole, impetuous Zeus. Fantastic. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, I watched this documentary on Peacock called Gary.
Gary?
You want to guess which Gary this is? Yes, it was about Gary.
What you talking about, Imran?
Dude, I got sucked in. It's new, and I was like, holy shit, a Gary Coleman documentary? I'm going to watch this. Of course, Arnold Jackson from Different Strokes. Easily one of the greatest child comedic actors you've ever seen on television.
Was he really a child, though? He was like 13,
no,
14,
he was.
15.
When he started, he was like 8, 9, 10. But you find out he had a kidney transplant when he was young, and so that the medicine given for that kind of stunted his growth. And then from 1985 to when he dies, he has no kidneys. Like the kidney got absorbed by his body. But there was a couple of things I didn't learn, and it details the end of his life when he died, what was going on. They go over, though. Remember he was a security guard at one point?
Yeah, he like lost all of his money. I think his parents like pilfered his money from him.
The parents say it wasn't them. They're blaming the business managers that kind of like he made $18 million and didn't see a fucking penny. So he tries to emancipate himself and sue the business people. But then he doesn't want to work after Different Strokes. He's exhausted, and they kept forcing him because he was their meal ticket to do shit that wasn't good. And the reason he became a security guard at one point, he needed money, but he always wanted to play a cop or like a superhero in a movie or a TV show. And there was no roles for Gary Coleman cop ever. So he got to live out his fantasy being the security guard, which is crazy. And then he meets this girl in 2005. They get married. They get divorced in 2008. She's still living with him for like the next 2 years. And then something happens in 2010. She says,
I love a good Imran summary.
Like, this is how he died. This is how he died. She says he went downstairs to make her some food after coming home from work, and she heard a sound, and she goes downstairs, and he's on the floor, and there's blood everywhere. And she calls 911, and they have the recordings of the 911 call.
What happened to him? He broke his head or something?
So she's saying he fell, hit his head, and then they took him to the hospital. He was still alive. And then during some procedure, he had a brain hemorrhage. He had to put on a ventilator. And she pulls the plug on him. And then very quickly, she's accused of killing him, maybe pushing him down the stairs. Or the way she called 911 was very weird. Because they have all this, and she's like, "This blood is freaking me out. I can't go over there. I can't deal with this. Please send somebody." Like she didn't move him or touch him or try to help him because she just like, I got blood on me. I can't deal with this. Like you can hear. I'm like, what the fuck, lady? Help this poor man. He was still breathing. So I don't know. It's a little questionable. She lived with him for 2 years after they divorced. She was making him work because she didn't have a job or something. I don't know. It was crazy. I did not know a lot of these things about Gary Coleman.
Yeah, it's fucking scumbag.
I know. It's really sad life that he had. He never got to do what he wanted. He felt like he wasn't in control. Other people were in control of his stuff.
It pisses me off when people like do something that's so like memorable and like Different Strokes was a big show.
It was huge. He was huge. He was everywhere. He stole that show. He was so cute. His timing was amazing. He was so funny on that show. Any clip you pull up,
It's sad. It really is upsetting.
He had nothing to show for it. He didn't feel like he amounted to much at the end of his life. I was like,
so many scumbags.
Yeah, they kind of took it. Good documentary though. I did not know. It's called Gary. So, little Gary Cole. Yeah, I like little Gary Cole. Okay, that's it. Enough rambling. We're done. We finished? Where can the listener find you, Ruggs?
Rug Boy Show on X. Come by, follow me, and join all of the other OnlyFans girls that are now following me, hoping that I take a peek.
Oh, you got a good crowd there.
Every day there's some like weird name that no posts that follows me.
Listen, if Bo DeMeo's
all legit people, let me tell you.
I got bots.
If Bo DeMeo's OnlyFans page wants to follow you, you let me know.
Yeah, apparently that's where the only place you can find out what really happened.
That's what he said. Did you see that? He said he has the receipts. And
I want to see the receipts.
He's like, I could show you all the illegal things that are happening in Disney.
I'm going to show you this receipt, but it's right here next to my asshole.
Only if you sign up for his OnlyFans will you see the receipts. It's a good strategy for Bo DeMeo. Anthony, where can they find you? Watching football?
Watching football. There's also a West Coast party on Sunday that I'm going to called R&B and Ribs, so I'll be there.
Oh, they'll have ribs and R&B music?
R&B, yes.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Say hi to Anthony there. In the meantime, check out our website, jockandnerd.com. Check out the episode description for all the links to how to get in touch, how to support, how to subscribe. Thank you for listening to the Jock and Nerd Podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's a nerd.
We'll peep you
next time. I fucking loved it. I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too.
Give me a mic, Rick.
Yeah!